What if your money isn't lazy, but you accidentally trained it to be? You worked hard, you saved, you didn't overspend, you did what responsible people are supposed to do, but somehow your account is full and your financial life still feels stuck. That's the uncomfortable truth many smart people miss. The money sitting safely in your bank may be quietly costing you more than a bad investment ever did. Not because you made a reckless decision, but because you made no decision. Today, we're talking about the quiet $100,000 mistake and how to know if it's already happening to you.
Wealth isn't disappearing. It's changing hands.
The next 10 years won't reward hustle. They'll reward better decisions. I'm Chi-Chi, tracking capital before it trends.
I'm Will, 20 years navigating real market cycles. The edge today isn't more information. It's sharper judgment. This is Align Wealth 2040.
Clarity,
Strategy.
action.
Will, can I ask you something a little uncomfortable? I feel like I've been doing everything right. I work hard, I save money, I don't overspend, but somehow I still feel like I'm not getting ahead financially. Like, my money is just sitting there, not growing, not really doing anything. Am I doing something wrong?
That's actually a really important question, because what you just described is exactly how a lot of smart people lose money, not by making bad investments, but by doing nothing with their money. And over time, that doing nothing can quietly cost you tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wait, doing nothing is losing money? That sounds a little extreme. If my money is sitting safely in the bank, how am I losing anything?
On the surface, it feels safe, but in reality, your money is slowly being eaten away. Think about inflation. Every year, prices go up. Groceries, rent, healthcare, education, even at a modest 3% inflation rate, your money loses about half its purchasing power in 20-25 years. So if you have $100,000 sitting in cash today, in the future, it might only feel like $50,000. You didn't lose it in your account, but you lost what it can actually do for you. Let me give you a real example. I recently spoke with someone who had about $120,000 sitting in a savings account for almost 5 years. He felt responsible, he felt safe, but during that same period, the market had multiple strong years. Even a very conservative portfolio could have grown that money to around $150,000 or more. Instead, his account barely moved. So the real loss wasn't visible on paper, but it was very real in opportunity cost. That's a $30,000 difference just from doing nothing.
Okay, that's actually kind of scary. But I thought being conservative was a good thing. Isn't it better to be safe than to take risks?
Being conservative is not the problem. The problem is being intentional. There's a big difference between choosing safety as part of a strategy and leaving money idle without a plan. A lot of high-income, intelligent people fall into this trap. They're busy, they're careful, but they never build a real structure for their money, so their wealth doesn't grow the way it should. They tell themselves, I'll invest when the market feels safer. I'll wait until I have more time to figure it out. I don't want to make a mistake. So they wait. 1 year turns into 3. 3 years turns into 5. And during that time, nothing dramatic happens. No losses, no big risks, but also no real progress. And that's exactly how the $100,000 mistake happens. Not in one bad decision, but in years of hesitation.
So what you're saying is, this isn't just about poor people or bad investors. This is actually happening to people who are doing well?
Exactly. In fact, I would argue this is more common among professionals, people who make good money, engineers, doctors, consultants, business owners. They focus on earning more, but they don't optimize what they already have. And that leads to what I call the $100,000 mistake.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What exactly is this $100,000 mistake?
It's not one big mistake. It's a combination of small decisions or non-decisions over time. Let me break down 3 of the most common ones.
Okay, I'm ready. This sounds like something I might be doing.
Mistake number 1. Keeping too much money in cash for too long. People feel comfortable seeing cash in their account. It gives them a sense of control. But beyond a reasonable emergency fund, excess cash becomes a drag on your wealth because it's not growing, and it's losing value every year.
That one, I think I'm guilty of. I always feel like I need more just-in-case money.
That's very common, but here's the key. Liquidity is important, but too much liquidity becomes inefficiency. Money should have a job. If it's just sitting there, it's not doing its job, and this shows up a lot in high earners. For example, I've seen clients making $200,000 to $300,000 a year, but keeping over $200,000 in cash just in case. That's almost a full year of income sitting idle. If even half of that had been structured properly, it could be generating growth or income every single year. Instead, it's just sitting there, not losing in a dramatic way, but quietly falling behind.
Okay, what's the second mistake?
Mistake number 2, ignoring tax efficiency. This one is huge, and most people underestimate it. It's not just about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep. Without proper planning, taxes can take a significant portion of your long-term growth, and over time, that difference can easily add up to 6 figures.
So even if I'm investing, I could still be losing money because of taxes?
Exactly. 2 people can have the same investments, but completely different outcomes after taxes. That's why structure matters. 2 people with $10,000 start at age 29, same money, same return at 12% per year. One gets taxed every year, that's tax drag. The other grows tax deferred. By 65, $160,000 versus $640,000. That's not investment skill, that's structure.
Got it. And the third mistake?
Mistake number 3, having no cash flow producing assets. A lot of people focus only on saving money or growing money, but they forget the third dimension, generating income from their assets. If your money isn't producing income, you're always dependent on your job, and that creates long-term risk. Let me give you a simple comparison. Imagine 2 people. Both have $500,000. Person A keeps most of it in savings and some basic investments. No income from assets. Person B structures part of that money into assets that generate even a modest 5% annual cash flow. That's $25,000 a year. Over 10 years, that's $250,000 in income without selling the principal. Same starting point, completely different outcome.
So basically, if I only rely on my salary, even if I save and invest, I'm still limited?
Yes, because your time is limited. True financial security comes from building systems where your money works independently of your time.
Wow, okay. So if someone realizes they're making these mistakes, what should they actually do?
They need to start thinking in terms of structure, not just products. A simple way to think about it is dividing your money into 4 roles.
4 roles?
Yes, illiquidity for flexibility, growth for long-term appreciation, protection for downside and uncertainty, cash flow for ongoing income. Most people focus on 1 or 2 of these, but ignore the rest, and that imbalance is where the problem starts.
So it's not about finding the best investment, it's about building the right combination? Because no single product can solve everything, but a well-designed structure can. This actually makes a lot of sense, and also a little uncomfortable, because I feel like I've definitely been leaving money idle.
And that's the point of this conversation, not to scare people, but to make them aware. Because the biggest financial risks today are often invisible. They don't show up as losses on a statement, they show up as missed opportunities over time. And the hardest part is, most people don't feel this loss day to day. There's no notification, no warning, but 5 or 10 years later, they look back and realize, I had the money, I just didn't use it well. And that realization is often much more painful than a temporary market loss.
So how do people know if they're making this $100,000 mistake?
A simple question, is my money actually working for me or just sitting there? If you're not sure, there's a good chance something is off.
That's a little too real.
And honestly, most people don't need more information. They need clarity. That's why we often suggest doing a simple review of your current setup to see where your money is sitting, what it's doing, and what it's not doing. Because sometimes the difference between where you are and where you want to be is not how much you earn, it's how your money is structured.
If you're thinking about your family's future, income, education, retirement, and feel overwhelmed by information, that's normal.
Real confidence doesn't come from more opinions. It comes from a clear structure and a plan you can execute.
That's why we offer a complimentary 1-1 strategy session focused on your specific situation.
Some families refine their financial strategy, others explore partnership, or even a path to grow with our team. The link is below. Align Wealth 2040. Build with intention.